That's a bit better, isn't it? You can see Kaden there. Right, let me share the screen. Can you see that okay?
I can do.
Yeah. So if this gets in the way, you just move it around.
Okay.
Okay, so it's over to you, Kaden.
Okay, so my idea was originally based off of a story that I wrote quite a while ago with a few friends from school. I was quite like an avid story writer at that point. So me and my friends decided to write a story together. We did art for it, but we never finished it because we got caught up with GCSEs and stuff. But originally we came up with the idea because all of our phone chargers just stopped working, and it wasn't like a power outage or anything because everything else was working. All our chargers stopped working, so our phones couldn't charge. So then we had an idea that maybe it could be like a conspiracy in a type of story. So we started writing it and we called it Powerless. And so the full story at the beginning is just basically the heroes are sat on their phones charging them, and the charging just stops. So then they start calling around, they start messaging each other to see if anything happened to the same people, to see if they had similar experiences, and they did. So then they decided they were going to try and get to the bottom of it and try and figure it out and try and fix it so that their phones could keep charging and so that the communication between them could still keep happening. And so in the middle, they figure out what caused it, which is an opposing country trying to collapse the government and the economy. So then they take it upon themselves to stop the collapse of the economy. And they can go as the heroes, or they don't get the credit for it. So they have to live with that, or they fail to stop the fall and they live with the guilt of that for the rest of their lives. So basically the character profiles, there are 4 heroes and there is 1 villain. So this is just like the sort of character profiles for them that I wrote out quite a while ago that I just kind of tweaked to fit with the modernization of everything. So we have Cal Walker, and each of the heroes are at college. So it's quite a big task for them to take this upon themselves to stop the fall of the economy while they're still doing college. So we have Cal Walker, Freya Michaels, who studies maths at college, and she's quite smart and active, which can help with trying to stop the fall of the economy. Charlie Johnson, who takes digital production, which again can help with the stop of the fall of the economy because it's very like technological. LJ, who doesn't really have any knowledge with technology. He's more of like a musical person, but he still tries to help his friends trying to fall. And then we have Felix, who is the villain. He is the spy from the other country who's infiltrated this friend group and is trying to stop them from saving the country so that his country can practically take over the other one. And so my idea is quite similar to programs such as Stranger Things, like the season 3 of Stranger Things with the Russians and the spies and all of that, but it's also not similar because there are different aspects. Like Stranger Things is supernatural and Powerless isn't. There's nothing supernatural about it. And like I said, it is quite similar, but there are quite a lot of aspects that make it different and unique. So the target audience for the program would be around 16 to 25 because that is the sort of audience that things like this can appeal to. And I believe that the target audience would would enjoy this program because it's the same but different at the same time. And they may relate to many of the main characters as I have kind of based them off of people I already know. And I believe the program would most likely be on BBC 3 as it's more targeted towards 16 and 25-year-olds. And it would air between 4 and 7 as it's when most school or college students get home. So they would be able to watch it. And program episodes would last about 40 to 60 minutes as it gives the characters time to work through the issue. And I know many TV shows have an issue set out for each different episode, but this program would have them try to solve the issue over the entire season. And that's it.
Let me just... There we go.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. very well thought out. In terms of the drama, who's writing the script? Are you writing the script?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're kind of a designated script writer,
Yeah.
which is a big hurdle for any dramas. So in terms of, I like the way you thought about it, and it's a certainly interesting idea in terms of these days where we'll probably will get interference. We see interference in elections, potentially. We see them in probably online interference as opposed to power cutting, but it's kind of similar theme, isn't it? What kind of, did you have an idea of a kind of a budget you want for this?
Well, there would be quite a lot of like technological aspects in it, with it being the chargers stopping to work. So I couldn't give an exact number, but I don't think it would be too high or too low. It'd sort of be in between.
It's worth thinking about the costs for any drama, because that's what commissioners will think about as well. Not just the strength of the idea, but actually how much does it cost to make this? And you think about actually, will all those technological aspects you think of be too expensive, and how crucial are they to the story? One thing I want to ask you about as well is the time slot between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. What kind of shows usually are on air between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m.?
Usually children's shows and stuff like that.
And news?
Yeah.
So I'll probably hazard a guess, if this was going to be commissioned, it wouldn't be shown between 4 and 7, because traditionally that's not when dramas like this do get shown. Obviously, when people are streaming it, it doesn't matter, they can watch it at their own leisure. So in theory, if you wouldn't need to give it a time slot if it was going to be on a streaming platform. However, if it was going to be actually at a proper time slot on a proper channel, what time do you think it would be on?
I would probably say after 8 or 9.
Yeah, that's the traditional time slot for dramas and thrillers. And this sounds like a very exciting thriller to me, but that's when it would be on.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be a kind of a, if this was a BBC One programme, say, as opposed to BBC Three, for instance, they put it on at 9 o'clock on a Sunday. You know, peak time for thrillers and dramas like this. So always think through about when you put it on. And of course, if it's aimed at a streaming platform, which BBC, it might well be, you don't need to think about a particular time slot, do you? But no, I thought it was a really nice idea, and I think like the way you picked up on an old idea and carried it forward. And sometimes that's where the best ideas come from, those little nuggets that come through, and you're thinking, when I keep going with that. And sometimes that's how, you know, big dramas do get made. People just have an idea and they don't give up on it, and they keep pushing at it. So well done.